What is happening, people? Welcome back. Here's your opposition preview for Tottenham against Brighton. Interesting one ahead at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Brighton bang in form. Tottenham's second game under Roberto De Zerbi. Didn't get that new manager bounce in the first game. Very similar to Igor Tudor. Can we have that in the second game? Games are running out for Tottenham at the moment, staring down the barrel and the reality of the Championship. I'm joined by Louis Selin, a fantastic Brighton fan and creator. Louis, please introduce yourself and thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to be here. As Harry said, I am Louis Selling, sports journalist studying at Brighton University. I do a bit of everything really, writing for the Brighton base, YouTube, TikTok, bit of everything as I said. You might have seen me a few times here before doing some pre-recorded stuff, but it's great to be on here and doing an actual video with Harry.
It's great to have you, and yeah, thank you for sending me your thoughts previously on Roberto De Zerbi, and we'll get into that in this little snippet here. So thank you very much. But if that's okay, I'd like to start with your season so far. What have you made of it? Because from an outsider point of view, it looks like it's been quite up and down, but more recently, it's been banging form and things starting to click. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, it has been really up and down. We started quite solidly, I'd like to think, on track where we'd want to be, but it's quite normal for a Brighton team to have a dip in the middle of the season. November, we were banging form. Then suddenly December, January, February, we went on a run of one win in 14, 15 games, and a lot of Brighton fans calling for Hurstler to go now or at the end of the season. And a lot of people lost faith in him. After the loss to Crystal Palace at home, there was a few boos and chants of "we want Hurstler out" in the North Stand, which in my experience of 10, 11, 12 years supporting Brighton, I have never heard before. But then suddenly Pascal Gross returns to the club. Took him a couple of games to settle in, but now we're on a run of 5 wins in 6 games. Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Burnley, Liverpool, big results, which now has us ninth in the table. And if we do get a win on Saturday and results go our way, we could then be in sixth. From being close to the relegation zone a few months ago to then being in the chase for Champions League, it has been up and down. That's the only way I can really describe it.
100%, but that form is good. You mentioned there about, Gross coming back in the January window. And, ultimately you said there, and you're right, the form's been really good in the last few games. Would you now say that, people are fully behind Hurts now because those conversations that I see to hear Brighton fans having, and even the wider media having, they seem to have disappeared, understandably, with your form?
Yeah, I say we're quite a reactionary fan base, so a lot of the stuff you hear after games is probably not the entire truth of people's opinions, which is quite normal for football fans. I'm like it myself sometimes because there's a lot of emotion invested into the game. But yeah, I think he's got about 90% of those people that he did lose back on side. And I don't think that's just because of the results. Obviously, they help. But especially against Liverpool, he was showing a lot more passion and connection with the fans, which that's something that Roberto De Zerbi had during his time at Brighton. Everyone loved him, and they still do, just because he had something with the fans that Graham Potter didn't really have. And Hers is now showing that, which goes a long way in the grand scheme of things. And it kind of lets him off on a few losses when they come, if fans are slightly more on side with you in terms of liking you and you like showing that you care for them rather than it just being a job.
That makes sense. Okay, that's interesting to hear. So turnaround for manager as well as Brighton. Can I ask you about Tottenham season so far? We're getting to Serbia in just a bit, but what have you made of it? Of course, at the time of speaking to you, in the relegation zone, 2 points adrift. Nobody really pictured this, did they, at the start of the season, especially after winning the Europa League in Bilbao. So yeah, what's kind of gone wrong for Tottenham, and now three managers in and in deep trouble?
Yeah, I'm really surprised with how the season has gone. In my predictions, predicted Tottenham to finish third, which might have been, it sounds crazy now looking at it, but I really thought you'd go on to have a fantastic season under Thomas Frank. Obviously, in the relegation zone, as you said, which is really bad. But the middle of the season, I don't think it was that bad. I thought there was some good results in there, some good bits of play, but the wheels kind of fell off at the end of Frank's time. Igor Tudor, of course, that didn't go well at all. And I was really surprised with that appointment he doesn't have a good record anyway before Spurs, so that was a bit concerning initially going in. And then now, obviously, De Zerbi didn't get that bounce, as you said. So you're looking at, you need at least 3 wins, I'd say, to try and get out of this. But I don't know. It's really hard to say because the quality of the players is too good to be where you are. And there has been some good bits of play, some good results in the early parts of the season. So I don't really know. It's a really difficult one to say. But where you are now, I think Saturday is a must win for you, which is going to be really difficult because of our form and then your form as well, not winning this year.
Absolutely. And the concern, I think, amongst us Spurs fans, I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's the fact that, Leeds, they get that win at Old Trafford, 6 points clear of Tottenham. They're getting results, playing well. West Ham win, Forest get a point. All the teams down the bottom have got something about them, but Tottenham don't seem to at this moment. That's the issue. But at the end, we'll get on to those predictions. But can I ask you about Roberto De Zerbi? What you think of his appointment? Of course, I ask you with much interest because he spent a lot of time at Brighton and I would say done fairly well at least. From an outside perspective, I thought he'd done excellent and was very enjoyable to watch. So, do you think Tottenham made the right decision? And can De Zerbi, has he got enough in him? Do you think in the short term to keep Tottenham up? Because I think we're all excited for the longer term, like year 1, year 2, but it's about these next what now is 6 games. Can he keep us in the league?
I mean, appointing De Zerbi in general is a fantastic appointment. The best manager that Brighton have ever had, in my opinion. Got us into the Europa League, got us into the round of 16. Obviously, did lose 4-0 away to Roma, which is something that De Zerbi does. He's very his way or no way, which can be a bit concerning and lead to results like that. A 4-0 loss away to Luton when they were terrible at that point. But long term, yes, fantastic. Short term, isn't really a word that I'd associate with De Zerbi. It took him 6 games to get his first win with us, and it takes time to learn his play style, which, if he is trying to do at Tottenham, would scream disaster to me. But on the other hand, he's a very good motivator. He's very good at getting players playing better than they actually are, which is what you need at this point of the season. Just someone to motivate and get players caring again and get that confidence back. Solly March, for example, good player, probably an average Premier League player. But with De Zerbi, I'd argue he was one of the best wingers in the Premier League at that point, scoring every week, it felt like. So if you can get that out of players, then it's a very good appointment. But it's just, can he get that in such a short time and with how low the confidence looks? And according to the media, a lot of players already looking to head out the door before the season's even finished. That does concern me slightly. But overall, he's a good manager, very good manager, and he knows how to motivate players, which is a big, big plus in a relegation battle because it's not about playing well at this point. It's just about getting that result, showing a bit of passion, a bit of something to get the Spurs fans back on side to the players. Because I'm sure, maybe I'm wrong, you can tell me, but there's a lot of faith lost in the current players. But they just show a little bit of something that they want to get out of this relegation zone. Madison, Bentancur back, I believe. That is a big, big plus. They're going to want to show that they care. They're ready to fight and do anything, which with De Zerbi, as I said, is what you need.
Absolutely. It's good to hear some of the stuff you say there. And I think you hit the nail on the head as well, especially around how fans are feeling. Louis, before we progress then, based on what you say there, do you think that De Zerbi should have come in after Thomas Frank? Because, well, some would say it took too long to get rid of Frank. Some would say he should be here longer. But either way, let's pretend that it did happen because it did. And, let's pretend that Igor Tudor didn't happen. Do you think that was the time then to bring in De Zerbi, having more games to implement his style and to really change the kind of direction?
Yeah, I think so. He needs at least like 10, 15 games to really get that best out of his football. Lewis Dunk said a similar thing. He said he was baffled when De Zerbi first come in, but after a few weeks, few months, he was ready to go, and we were playing teams off the park. But it is really difficult to say because he could suddenly win the next 6 games. And you're like, great appointment. Doesn't really matter. They didn't come in earlier. But realistically, he did need to come in straight after Frank. That would have been the latest I would have said is the best time to bring in him. Because according to the media, De Zerbi himself was quite concerned about coming in for a short amount of time. He wanted to come in at the end of the season, which kind of tells you all you need to know about how he likes to manage and his style of football. But I guess we'll see. I still have a lot of confidence that he will be able to keep you up.
Okay, that's what we like to hear. I hope you're right on that note. Thank you. And on to the game itself then, Saturday. How are you feeling? I guess you feel more confident because of your recent results.
Uh, I should feel more confident because obviously 5 wins in 6, but Dr. Brighton will see now is a lot of what is going around social media at the moment. We did beat Burnley, but we're very good at losing games that we probably should be winning. It is crazy to say that we should be beating Tottenham, but I don't think it's unfair to say at the moment that this should be a game where we get 3 points from. So I'd say I'm 70% confident, but there's always that new manager bounce at home. First game at home is going to be massive. And if he can really get the Spurs fans to buy into him, then that does concern me a lot. But it is a game we should just about be winning. Not a big score, a 1-0, 2-1 win. I'd even take a point, to be honest, just because of the new manager bounce.
That's interesting to admit. I was going to ask you that next. Okay, thank you. You may know this, so tell me to be quiet if you do. But if I said to you that Spurs' last win at home was the 6th of December, so no home win in 2026, no win home or away in the Premier League in 2026 either. Just to add to that, does that give you any more confidence? The fact that we've been woeful, but particularly at home.
It should do, but again, I know what Brighton are like, and this is the
Mm.
game that we'll probably end up losing because of that. But realistically, it does give me more confidence. But De Zerbi's an unknown quantity at Tottenham still, and obviously he's going to have a lot of Brighton fans applauding him, cheering him, which could impact us negatively and help you even more if he's not having that hostile environment, which I think we need to give, because when De Zerbi came in and Graham Potter left, that first game against Chelsea, De Zerbi's first win at the Amex, his first win at Brighton, 4-1 against Chelsea. Potter's team at that point was very hostile, and that's when we played our best. So if it's like that, then I have nothing that says we're going to lose. But if it's a very happy, joyful atmosphere towards De Zerbi, then that could be a problem.
And that's what it could be potentially if you think about it. Okay, thank you very much. You said that you'd take a draw, and you mentioned a couple of scores there. If I had to ask you, and what score would you go with that you predict's going to happen? What would it be? In all honesty.
Well, I'm thinking of the home game to you last year. It was 4-1, final game of the season. Obviously, very different circumstances. It just won the Europa League. Probably didn't really care about the game at that point because it didn't really matter in the league because you were always going to finish in that 17th spot. I'd like to think we can do a similar thing because we're playing very, very well lately. Hurst is really starting to implement his style of play. But if I had to give a prediction, I'm gonna say we haven't conceded in our last 3 away games, but I do think we'll concede in this one. I'll go with a 2-1 win.
Okay, 2-1 win. Thank you very much. And then some end of season predictions. Then, so starting with your side, Brighton. Where do you think you'll finish in the league? Is Europe possible?
Yeah, I think it is. Start of the season, I said we finished 5th. Many people thought that was crazy, but we're only a few points off that. I don't think we'll finish in the Champions League spots. We've got to play you, we've got to play Chelsea, we've got to play Newcastle. Wolves is now a difficult game because they can either be rubbish or play everyone off the park. Manchester United as well. Leeds away is a very difficult game. They're very good at Ellen Road. I'd like to think we can pick up enough points to finish in an 8th spot, finishing Conference League, which I think we can then go on to win next season. If Palace can do it, why can't we? So I'll say we get some decent results, lose a couple, and finish 8th. And I'd be pretty content with that, considering we were speaking about relegation a few months ago.
That would be super impressive. And Louis, be honest with me, with Tottenham, where do you think they'll finish? No, you can say that you think we'll go down. That's not a problem because we are 2 points adrift at the moment. I think the fan feeling is they're starting to slowly accept that not only relegation is possible, but it's now it feels almost certain. Just the way that we're playing, being 2 points behind, and some of the games coming up.
I'm really caught in two minds with Tottenham. Part of me says De Zerbi is brilliant. He'll get the players motivated and you will stay up by a good 5 or 6 points. But the other half of me says, didn't win the Sunderland game. I didn't watch it, but apparently it still wasn't great. There wasn't much to go off of. Some people said the opposite, but the majority said it was still pretty poor. I do think De Zerbi gets a couple of wins. You have to. You just have to. I really don't know. Anything could happen. These next two games against us, and is it Wolves, your game after us?
Yeah.
These two games will say a lot. If you lose both, then I think it's almost certain that you go down. But if you get 4 points, then you definitely could stay up. West Ham have Crystal Palace next at Selhurst, which is, again, a really, really difficult game. So these next few weeks, I think, is where my mind will be made, which is easy to say with 4 games to go. But
Do
these
you know
two are
what?
absolutely
I agree.
massive.
Actually, I think you've hit the nail on the head once again. I may say I'm personally worried about the last three because they are, Leeds, then Chelsea, then Everton, and for all different reasons, I think they could be really tough. Leeds, don't get me wrong, maybe if they're safe by then, that is okay. But on paper, right now, it could be a little bit difficult, especially the fact they'd more than likely be above us at that point and by a few points as well. So those last three, I think we need to get into the position where we're outside the bottom three going into 3 games to go. So I think you're right. Next two are massive, and even if we don't win either of them, they're hugely concerning. But Louis, thank you very, very much for joining me today. We've covered a lot in a short space of time. Tell people where they can follow you on the socials and check out your work.
Yeah, so obviously I'm on X at Louis Selling, the same as my TikTok. Kind of just post random stuff on TikTok. Any news that comes out, I just jump on, do a video about it. YouTube again is at Louis Selling SJ. Do a lot of analytics on there, a lot of tactics, talking about players, breaking them down. Do a lot of media drawing on there, all the arrows, all the circles, all of that. Do a podcast as well on that channel, the Midweek Fixture Podcast. One of my mates, one of my other sports journalists that I know, Annabelle, is always on there with me. Some really, really great longer videos. And then finally, the brightonbase.com is where all my written work is. A really, really great site. You should go and check it out. And there's big things coming with that in the summer. But thank you very much, Harry, for letting me do that. And thanks very much for letting me come on.
No worries, thank you. I wish you personally, because I think you're great. All the best, of course, and be in touch very, very soon. Hopefully, Tottenham will stay in the Premier League and we can still collaborate game to game. I can't believe I'd be saying that, to be honest. But I also do seriously wish Brighton as well all the best for the rest of the season after this game. I think they're a great club and play football the right way, and they've done that under various different managers. But thank you to everyone for watching this opposition preview. Enjoy Saturday's game. Come you Spurs.